Welcome to English Lessons. I'm Jeremy Nygaard. This is Coach Holly English, back for another episode. Coach, how you doing today?
You know, I'm feeling all right.
And you should be.
It was a pretty good weekend.
So if you haven't been paying attention, it's been a while since we've sat down and had these discussions. To kind of start at the very end, two very exciting wins, two very exciting big wins over the last week or so. That put the Baldwinville Blackhawks girls team in a position to control their own destiny, and then controlled their own destiny.
That they did.
All their way to a Middle Border Conference title. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
On that. The first outright, I believe, since like 2013.
I think so. When I looked all the way back, I saw 13-14, and then
shared, yep.
Yes, and then 12-13.
Yep. It was outright. So that's where we are today. Sitting as conference champs, number one seed in the playoffs, awaiting the winner of Bloomer and Northwestern. And we'll talk more about that, but let's rewind quite some time.
I'll try my best.
So yeah, we'll test your memory a little bit. The last time we sat here, we were 6-2, headed to Menominee for a holiday tournament to play a very, very good Menominee team, a very, very good Rice Lake team.
Yes.
Okay. And I mean, you can tell me as well as anybody, we saw two completely different teams at that tournament.
Yes. Our girls did everything that they needed to do to play Menominee right down to the very end. And I think at that point in time, we had some injuries, we had some sickness. We were playing people that didn't usually get as many minutes as they did. And I think by the time that we hit that Menominee game, that was everything they had left in the tank, and they left it all out there. And then turn around and play Rice Lake the next day, and we didn't have anything left to give. And they did their best, but that was a tough one.
Yeah, so at that point, 6-4, and then have a really big conference game against Prescott, at Prescott, coming out of break. And that night, Prescott seemed like the better team. 6-5.
Yep.
And then got back on track with a couple wins. And then went to Altoona.
Yes, we did.
And Altoona, again, like Prescott the week before, looked like the better team.
They did.
And then everything kind of shifted, right? At that point, we're 8-6, and we have 10 games left, and you've lost to the two teams in front of you in the standings. And we go to Amory, okay? And as a fan, it felt like halftime of Amory was when things clicked. Now, I played for Coach Benoit in 2002, maybe the fall 2001. We were
way back.
Yeah,
I was in middle school then.
So we were, I believe, 3-2 at the time. Went to Amory, played really poorly in the first half. Okay, Scott can he'll tell you this is true.
I'm sure.
He threw things that weren't meant to be thrown. Said some things that maybe you couldn't get away with nowadays. We came out in the second half, played really well, and went on like a streak of winning 13 out of 14 games. Okay. So did you throw the towel cart?
I didn't. I didn't throw things. Okay. That's not my style. Okay. I don't get riled up unless I absolutely need to, and more often than not, the girls will do it on their own. Okay. There have been very few times where they've needed me to break a clipboard over my knee or chuck a marker across the room. I mean, They do it on their own.
Okay. That's fair. And now that I think about it, it was actually the year before that happened, my junior year. So that started things in the right direction. Same location, same locker room, same everything.
It's that locker room, man.
You win that game. And then just looking at the schedule, the final 10 games, there was, in my opinion, 6 or 7 really, really good teams on that schedule. Okay. And then the other teams, and I'm not going to throw out middle border names, but Nourishment, who hadn't won. Okay. That to me is a game where it's like, ooh, let's not overlook this team. And that was just start to finish completely dominant. At one point, I think it was like a 17-0 run in the first half.
Something like that.
You did the same thing at Osceola. Okay. And we saw the same thing at Central. It was like a 15-2 run to just, I mean, these games are not over, right? But they feel like the better team is up by a significant amount, and they're just going to be able to get that done. But the really good wins against Clear Lake at Somerset.
Mhm.
At Durand, which is a really hard
Yes.
place to play.
For whatever reason, since I've been here, we play really well in Durand.
So maybe
We
it's
played
just,
really well my first year. We played really well this year. Like it's fun time there.
so you like to go there.
I like to go there.
You didn't
Yeah.
see. You haven't experienced like the Durand. They've got some newer things now. But when I coached, if you were ahead of Durand, their scoreboard would go out.
Oh, got it.
Like
No,
it
I
was
haven't-
just
I
there
haven't
was
been lucky enough to
there was
experience that.
momentum killing natural disasters
Right.
that it was like, you know. So, but like the wins against those teams, Somerset, Ellsworth, like the middle tier, middle border teams.
Mhm.
And then, like I mentioned, you get to the end of the year where it's like, if we beat Prescott, we control our own destiny for a share of the title,
Mhm.
which happens.
We did that.
And then 20 minutes later, Somerset beats Altoona.
That was very helpful for us. I did text Corey and tell him thank you in different words.
And so then it's big game against Central at Central. They're ahead. Central comes out to a lead, and then all of a sudden, Haley Cota just decides to make all the shots.
All the shots. All the shots.
And it's like halftime, we have 36 points. And I turned to my wife, I said, I don't know if we've ever scored 36 points and a half in the history of Baldwin girls basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win. And then let's talk about this game. Altoona for the outright championship. Now Altoona wins, it's a three-way tie. We win, it's Baldwin Woodville, and then it's the other teams.
Mm-hmm.
And Altoona starts the game. I think their lead was as much as 8, right?
So.
And we struggled to make shots, I think would be fair to say. Altoona also struggled to make shots. There was a lot of turnovers. It wasn't the crisp game that I think we got used to for the first 9 games of the winning streak. But when you're playing really good teams and there's stuff on the line, hardware in this case, there's nerves, there's stuff that happens. So kind of talk us all through that game. At one point down 8 in the first half. How does this all transpire to where we can walk out of there victorious?
Well, I think it started before the game in the locker room. We were talking about how we have won in a wide variety of situations. I gave them a big long list. We've won when we're down. We've won when we're up. We've won against various defenses. We've won at different times of the day. There have been so many different circumstances where we have done the things that we've needed to do to come out on top. And I said, this is just another opportunity for you to do that. And I said, I mean, if you look back at the teams that had beat Altoona, we had beat some of those teams.
Right.
So, I mean, if you look at it like that, there's no reason that we can't go in and win. And at that point in time, and still now, we're playing our best basketball of the season. And if we can go out there and play our best basketball of the season, there's no reason that we can't win. And we went out there, and I think what worked out really well for us, which works out well for us every single game, is we play phenomenal defense, and we play very disciplined defense, and everybody can do it. It doesn't matter if you're a post player, it doesn't matter if you're a guard, it doesn't matter if you're a wing. They go out there and they know exactly what their job is. And if they happen to have an off night, the best part is we have other people that can still do that job. I mean, I have 8 girls that I can throw in any situation, and I trust all 8 of them. And I think the coolest thing is they trust each other too. And then in addition to knowing that we needed to have a great defensive game, we also needed people who were willing to take shots and attack the basket. I mean, I showed them so many clips in our film sessions of some of the teams that played really well against Altoona, and they attacked the basket, and they weren't intimidated like we were the first time that we played them. And we weren't. Granted, it would have been nice to make a few more of them, but we attacked the basket, and that is all that I asked them to do. So to have people that were willing to step outside of their comfort zone and drive down the lane and take shots that they don't usually take but should take more of, I think was really helpful for us.
Right. And I think the biggest difference, of what we can't control, can't really control, at Altoona, Alyssa Worth dominated, right? She impacted shots even if she didn't block shots. Like you said, she was there being a presence. And I think as that started to go well for her, she feeds off that. Her teammates feed off that. And then that game became Altoona's just pushing up. I mean, it was 20, I think 1 was their largest lead that we, weren't able to really chip away at. The difference on Thursday, she never got comfortable at all.
No.
Not on offense, not on defense, not in any sort of transition game. I think she ended up with 2 points and 3 turnovers on consecutive touches in the second half, where it was like she's had to be pulled out of the game. Well, if she's not building confidence, her teammates are now all of a sudden without this person in the middle that they just looked very disjointed, which had a lot to do with, like you mentioned, how well your girls play defense.
And I think going in, making sure that they knew that, hey, she's a very good passer. She's very good when she's away from the basket at finding her teammates, cutting to the basket, or if people dig off of them to come help on her. And our girls were so disciplined in knowing to look for that we just took away a majority of their opportunities.
Right.
And it made such a huge impact on the game.
Yep. And so we escape 32-31, lowest scoring total for Altoona all year. I'm pretty sure it was probably the lowest scoring total for us too.
Probably pretty close.
But if you win a game, it doesn't matter, right? If you win 2-1, you win.
Yep.
If you score 1 point in a loss, you feel sick about that. But that's the thing about defense, right? You could score 100 and lose, but it's really hard to lose basketball games when you don't give up hardly any points. And holding Osceola to, did they break 20?
I don't remember.
I
wish I did.
They had less than 20. I think Nurseman had 22. Altoona has 31. Central, I think, was in the 30s. Like, that's just a really good omen for what happens later, because offense is very much skill related, right? Defense is just effort related.
Yes.
And if the skill isn't working that night, the effort's always going to be there.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, you go back to Altoona, we couldn't make a layup to save our lives at certain points in time. But the fact that even though we couldn't put some buckets in when we should have, the fact that we can turn around and go play some hard-nosed defense made all the difference in the world.
Right. Now is the fun part.
Sometimes.
Because everybody's 0-0.
Yes.
Season starts over. And the way that our bracket works is we're on the top half of the bracket. We're the 1 seed. We'll play the winner of the 8-9 game, which is Northwestern and Bloomer. On the bottom side, on the 4 seed is Ellsworth.
Correct.
So a potential rematch with Ellsworth in the regional final. And then on the bottom half of that bracket, you have Somerset, the 2 seed, Prescott, the 3 seed. So the middle border with a sweep of the teams that get buys. St. Croix Falls, who won the Heart of the North, I believe, is the 5 seed.
Yes.
So that could be a game that they would have to play Ellsworth at Ellsworth. We'll host a game this Friday.
Yes, we will.
And then if we win, we will host a game on Saturday.
Yes, we will.
And so as a basketball coach, looking forward to the WIAA playoffs, how do you feel about that?
I feel good. Our girls are doing what they need to do. And we started talking about one more. You get one more game. This is the point in time where it's one more day to show up, one more day to do your job. And then after that, you get one more. And I think especially for our 3 seniors, it matters. I mean, we want to make sure that we go as far as we possibly can for them and for their teammates. So I think we're in a really good spot. I think we're doing the things that we need to do. People understand their roles, and they understand that we have at least 8 people that we can rely on in a wide variety of situations. And I think the fact that we can throw people in on offense, on defense, across the board makes us a really hard team to scout. And I think we're in a good spot if we can continue to do the things that we are doing well right now.
Absolutely. So the way the playoffs work, if you haven't really looked at the bracket, there'll be games on Tuesday night that the non-bye teams will play. So there'll be some teams that have their season end tomorrow night. And then the winners of those games will play in the regional semis on Friday. And then the regional finals are on Saturday. So as mentioned, us as the 1 seed could potentially host that game. It would be against the 4-5 winner. Somerset Prescott are on the bottom half. And then the southern part of our section includes undefeated Elk Mound, Altoona, who we just saw, and La Crosse Aquinas. Would you agree those are the 3 of the better teams there?
Yes.
And then the winner of the northern region and the winner of the southern region would play in the sectional final for a chance to go play at the Resch Center. So it's really been a fun season. I looked today, and because I didn't remember how WisSports does their conference previews, and I'm like, how did they have their projected finish. Do you
Mhm.
remember? Did you look at this, Evan?
I did not look on
So-
purpose.
Well, that's probably fair. They had Prescott favored to win.
Okay.
Us to finish second. Somerset to finish third. I think either Ellsworth or Altoona
Mhm.
were 4-5. So they didn't do a terrible job. But at the beginning of the year, projected order of finish means absolutely nothing.
Yep.
It's the end of the year where we get to say conference champs. You get the plaque, the team picture that's going to go in the trophy case, and
Love
live there forever.
Mhm.
So I think my picture's in the trophy case twice as a player, never as a coach.
All right.
And now your picture, Coach Com, Coach Carroll, Coach Furman,
gonna be
and all
great.
the girls
Love it.
get to be forever remembered in the Baldwin High School trophy case.
Love it.
But do we want to end here? Because you get hardware for regional finals and then anything after that. And that's certainly a possibility.
That's the deal. I mean, one more. We're going to go as far as we possibly can. We want to send these seniors out with as many victories as we can give them. And
Absolutely.
I think we're working well enough where we can definitely get a few more.
Right. And it's that sense of urgency that the playoffs brings that we got to experience a little bit because, you're playing for the conference title. And so maybe those nerves have kind of been worked out, but absolutely. And that's why it's a lot of fun. And that's why I was like, you know what? We got to get back. We got to do one more
Gotta get at least
episode
one more. Here we go.
to talk playoffs. So anything else to add before we call it a day?
Honestly, I don't think so. I can give you the whole spiel about how proud I am every single day of the girls that show up in the gym and how they work their tail off, whether they're an incoming ninth grader or whether they're a senior who's been around for 3 years, my 3 years, plus another one. I'm grateful that I get to work with them, and I'm grateful that they show up every day and give us everything that they have, because it's proven to work on the court, and hopefully it'll work for a little while longer.
Absolutely. Well, good luck with the next one and everyone that comes after that.
Thank you.
And we'll be along for the ride. That was
Good.
Coach English. I'm Jeremy Nygaard. This was English Lessons, and thanks for joining us.
See you later.
So long.